Ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask this question. At what point do we hold our government? At what point do we hold them responsible for high treason against the state? Joining with me to discuss this is Ramon. Hello, Ramon.
Yes, Byron, but I think you misunderstand South Africa dramatically. The ANC is the state. So how can they hold themselves in contempt? What's wrong with you? You're thinking like a foreigner again.
Yeah, well, so at some point in time, we know 2024 is on the horizon. When these guys all get voted out, I expect to see the opposition parties holding the ANC in contempt, and I expect them to be holding these guys liable for treason against the state. We are going to be drawing reference to the fact that the ANC is declaring a state of disaster against Eskom. Now, just for reference, the DA has been calling on the ANC to call a state of disaster in relation to Eskom for some time. So the state of disaster will grant the ANC emergency powers so that they can go out and basically enforce whatever bullshit tender they want without going through the due diligence process. And as we saw during COVID-19, that will have a specific effect against the fiscus, noticeably the granting of tenders to cadres and allowing the patronage network to eat. And I know you've got a view on this, Ramon. What is your view?
Well, as the great Smuts Ngonyama of the ANC once said, he didn't join the struggle to be poor. And I think it's important to understand that when we had the lockdowns based on the virus from unknown origin, they basically stole so much, it makes the Guptas look like a nursery school group. The sheer amount of grift through the lockdowns based on that virus is something that we've never seen before, so rapaciously, so quickly, so disgustingly, like we have since 1994. It pales in comparison to the arms deal, it pales in comparison to Medupe and Kusile, it pales in comparison to state capture. It was the most grotesque form of graft you've ever seen in this particular country. And the ANC want to do it once again. They created load shedding by the graft, and now they want to create a state of disaster to have more graft so that they can all eat and be as fat as Gwede Mantashe. This is the state of South Africa in 2023. You're basically putting the pedophile in charge of the nursery school. That is what the state of disaster will do.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for context, when we talk about the amount of money that disappeared during the scamdemic of unknown origin, we all know that the amount of money was in around the region of around 500 billion, which the president told us no amount of that money would be spent and be unaccounted for. Problem is, all of it was spent and unaccounted for. Now, we did see examples of a school in Johannesburg where apparently the school spent nearly 400 million on going through every day and cleaning the school for a school that was closed because of the lockdown and no one was allowed to go to school. So 400 million is a good grift. Like, you get a cleaner school that nobody's attending. So this is the type of grift that we saw. We obviously saw the digital vibes scandal come out. We saw the ANC councillors who were taking all of the food parcels and eating it themselves. We saw a number of the COVID grants disappeared, being paid to individuals who don't actually work in the government. And we saw a variety of people getting those grants in cabinet that don't exist. They're not real. So the reality is all of this was allowed to occur because of the state of disaster. And the state of disaster meant some stooge in the ANC government could basically sign these off as order forms without actually going through any due diligence and requiring any backpay in the paper. Now, that back trail in the paper is exactly what is now going to happen to Eskom. Eskom is going to have the ability to sign off a variety of order forms and pay whatever they want to scrupulous suppliers wherever without actually doing any proper due diligence or paperwork. I can't see what could go wrong, could you?
Well, just think about it this way, right? We know that Uncle Gwede is fully on board with the power ships, right? The power ships will add about 2 gigawatts of power to the grid, which is roughly 10-20% of what we actually need. What they're going to do, and this is my opinion on this, is that what they're going to do is they're going to have a state of disaster. They're going to sign that power ship deal. It's going to cost 220 billion rand for that to go through. They're going to add 2 gigawatts to the grid. It will have permanent stage 2 load shedding until Jesus comes back. That is the only reason why the state of disaster is something that they are considering, because they want to sign that deal. They want to sign more corrupt deals for more coal, more maintenance, for lack of a better term, more of the shit that has destroyed Eskom. They want to do that on hyperspeed warp drive from Star Trek. And that is exactly what the state of disaster will do for them. And the DA wanted this for some reason, right? And a lot of the people on the internet and in the media are like, yeah, this is a good idea. We need a state of disaster to solve Eskom. You can't have the party destroying Eskom solving it. You can't make the fattest man in the world the CEO of McDonald's. That's not how it works.
Yeah, so let's be clear. The reason that the DA wanted a state of disaster declared around Eskom is because they wanted to see quicker action in terms of recovery on the network. At the moment, the allegations being made is that there's a number of solutions being put forward, but because of the red tape in Eskom, it basically means the solutions aren't being authorized. Well, this is a fallacy that South Africans and South African politicians often play with the media. And that's assuming that the very people at Eskom and in government are acting in good faith. So it's just the red tape, right? It's just like, the people that are against Ramaphosa. It's just the faction, they're all acting in good faith. If you clear the hurdles, suddenly the road will clear. What they fail to understand is that the individuals acting there are not acting in good faith. So just because you give the individual who is not acting with good faith more powers to be more dictatorial or more thieving or more looting, just because you give that individual more power doesn't necessarily mean that they suddenly just clear the way. And that's unfortunately the problem that the DA seems to have. They seem to think, well, if we give them the emergency powers to clear the red tape, everything will get solved because they'll make decisions quicker. No, mate, they won't make decisions quicker. They will only make decisions that benefit the politically connected. They will use this as an opportunity to steal and loot further. We have 28 years of experience of this. How much more do you want?
So during the scamdemic lockdown, we had Nkosazana Zuma as the Caesar of South Africa. She said no smoking, no drinking, no bonking, no nothing, right? Don't see your girlfriend after dark. All that stuff that I still can't believe we went through. Under this state of disaster for Eskom, who will be in charge of the country? Gwede Mantashe, right? What's he going to do? What laws do you think Gwede Mantashe is going to put in place during the state of disaster? No more braaiing because it uses coal? No more electric blankets? You can't heat your water using electricity? Just imagine utmost power in the hands of that fat bastard. It's going to be a disaster, an absolute frightful disaster. But a lot of people want it. And as H.L. Mencken said years ago, democracy is people getting what they want and getting it good and hard. Version 2.0, here it is.
Yeah, let's not forget that at Morning Shot we called. Remember Mr. Fix call when he went there to take the Secretary General role of the ANC? And we called it. He would absolutely destroy that party. He's destroying that party, even worse than it is. He went out and he did a load shedding conference where he went there on TV to tell everybody how they had discussed load shedding. It was going to be a thing of the past. Only halfway through it, there was load shedding and his entire broadcast got cut off. See the irony? Mr. Fix call. He's that stupid. We're calling it again. Gwede Mantashe is going to use his emergency powers to make himself even fatter. He is going to enrich himself even further. And at some point in time, South Africans as a whole are going to get hurtful with all of this. And by right, they should be. We've had Julius call through, the 10% party is apparently going to cause a national shutdown because he thinks that the party who is responsible for this are not taking this very seriously. And we agree, the party that is responsible for this is not taking it very seriously. But this from the same politician that sits in bed with these ANC individuals in order to self-enrich. At some point in time, South Africans are going to see through this, and we are going to see a credible alternative. The question I will leave you with, dear viewers, at what point do we hold the old guard in contempt for treason? At what point does the French Revolution become the model of the 21st century?
Well, I'm not a fan of the French Revolution. I'm with Edward Burke on this, right? I think the French Revolution was terrible. But some of the methods used to, let's say, neutralize the elites of that time could bring a comeback. And guess what, Byron? A guillotine doesn't need electricity. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.